story is about a girl named Jessica who belonged to a very poor family. Her mother died when she was 8 years old and at home. Her brother and her father lived there. Her father would often beat Jessica after getting drunk. One day, it all got so bad that Jessica had to run away from her house along with her younger brother. Both those children had fled from Nagpur and had now come to Goa. 15-year-old Jessica had taken the decision to run away. But how will she take care of herself and her 9-year-old brother in an unknown place? She did not know this. Jessica and her brother John sat in front of a church and started begging from people. Then a nun passing by saw those two children and came to talk to them. Jessica told everything to the nun, and the nun felt very sorry for her. She took them with her to that church, and Jessica and John started living there. Jessica admitted John to a school run by the church. She got it done, and she herself became a part of a prayer group. Soon Jessica became completely inclined towards God, and the church made her a nun too. But after becoming a nun with Jessica, something started happening that he had never imagined would happen. One night, while Jessica was sleeping in her room, she suddenly started having seizures. She started screaming as if someone was hitting her very hard. She was surprised when the other nuns came to her room hearing her voice. Jessica's body was stiff and her eyes had turned completely white. She was screaming in pain, but her voice sounded like a man's voice, not her own. Seeing this, a nun poured holy water on Jessica. The lamp was lit and smoke began to come out of Jessica's skin. After a few moments, she calmed down. After this accident, Jessica's health started deteriorating. There has been a lot of change in her behavior. She doesn't even come to church anymore. And she used to roam the corridors alone till late at night. Sometimes she would start laughing at odd hours, and sometimes she would make strange sounds in a man's voice. Sometimes she would roar loudly at someone. As if it were an animal, it would sometimes sit in a corner and cry. Everyone in the church knew that Jessica was possessed. So everyone started preparing for his exorcism. When a nun went to see Jessica in her room on the night of the exorcism, the nun began looking for her throughout the room, but she was not there. Jessica was nowhere to be seen, but as soon as she went back to the nun, she turned around, her heart pounding as if a wall, wearing a black gown. Christianity was stuck to. In the US, people wear black clothes when somebody dies. Jessica was bleeding from her mouth. She was roaring like an animal in a heavy voice. Suddenly she fell upon the nun. In no time, everyone else in Jessica's room also came, and seeing them, Jessica started laughing madly. She started insulting God as soon as the priest poured holy water on her. So she screamed in pain, and to save herself from exorcism, she ran into her room. Jessica's life was saved, but she jumped down from the window. His spinal cord was completely damaged, due to which he could never walk again. After she could not walk, it became quite easy for Jessica to have an exorcism. But by the time the church people started his exorcism, the devil inside him had left. Jessica was admitted to a hospital run by the church. But the priest wanted to know why. Why and how did all this happen to Jessica? He decided to hypnotize Jessica and gave her a small. By forming an investigation team, they began to find out what had happened. After a lot of research, they learned that Jessica's mother was a cult member. Member of a cult that practices black magic and worships the devil. People like the one mother did to please the devil. Did a lot of procedures. Jessica's mother also tried to use Jessica's body when Jessica was young. But Jessica's father came and saved her, but perhaps it was too late by then. 4-year-old Jessica started saying curses in a strange language. His face turned scary and he said that that was the reason for his father's death. And only after his death will the real form of the devil come into this world. Jessica's mother dies because her black magic backfires. Happened and Jessica's father knew that evil was living inside Jessica too. So slowly they started distancing themselves from him and started hating him. The night Jessica ran away from home with her brother. She had mixed poison in her father's drink and her father died then and there. Since then, Jessica has become possessed, which meant that Jessica was possessed by the devil himself. After knowing all this, the priest's heart was shaken badly. He got up and called Jessica's brother John over. Then they noticed that there were strange marks on John's back and hands. Gone are the days when Jessica too became possessed like her mother and began to worship the devil. And was using her brother's body for the same puja. After finding out all this, Peace performed many exorcisms on Jessica. But Jessica's health kept deteriorating day by day and eventually she died. The church took full responsibility for John and Jessica's death. Even after that, the people of the church started praying for his release. How did you like this story? Would you like to see an original series?